Good evening and welcome to another exciting, action-packed, no doubt, episode of the Shelfside Spurs. Tonight we've got regular panellists Jens live from Holland, although he's Danish. We've had some weird comments about that, the Danish football special, but he was going on about, well, he's in Holland, but Gaza making his debut, even though he's a regular panellist. I don't know how that works, but hopefully he'll be a regular panellist. Our resident George Clooney, and welcoming to the show this week, Kev.
Evening.
We haven't got a nickname for you yet, Kev, but I'm sure we can come. Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with something during the course of the show. Right, and so this week, I guess, following some kind of structure to the show, I'll just put this up on the screen here. This is what we should discuss first of all. Last weekend's game. Tottenham 4, Sheffield United 0. Bale hat-trick and a sunny howitzer from range. Match thoughts and reviews. First of all, what were your thoughts on the lineup ahead of the game? No Ndombele again. Moura left out as Dele Alli came in, and Bale on the right there. Rodon and Tanganga not even in the squad after impressing towards the end of the Jose days. And as I say, Dele Alli and Bale in from the Cup final 11. Should we go to Jens first of all? Were you happy with that lineup when you saw it, Jens? Any concerns? Any?
I was a bit surprised to see Dele Alli in there. I'm not really sure what he's done. Maybe he's been amazing in training, or maybe it's Mason doesn't fancy Ndombele, which, I suppose you watch him in one match, he's absolutely blinding. You watch him in the next match, he doesn't seem to break a sweat and looks knackered after 25 seconds.
I don't know if in Holland on the TV sort of show over there, but they actually had a little interview with Ryan Mason before the game, and they said that the reason he was in was because he had trained really well in the week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. No, they didn't. They didn't do that, and I wouldn't have been able to understand what the commentators are saying anyway. So.
Lots of he trained well in the week.
Crep and a bong.
Yeah. Same question to you, Kev. Were you surprised by the lineup? Any thoughts when you saw it? What were your immediate thoughts that went through your head?
Yeah, ditto on Tanguy, actually. I was really shocked. I thought he was nailed on. I really thought he was. Dele, out of nowhere, really. Like the haircut. It must be a bit different. He's a bit of an exhibitionist. But no, it was a shocker to me.
Rude Philip, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was glad to see Sissoko was nowhere near it at the start, because I don't know, he's been pulling out a few surprises. I know he's only had 2 previous games to that, but I suppose he's sticking with what he knows and tried and tested, and they're his sort of pals, and he's been with them a long time, so maybe he knows what's best. And to be honest, the opposition wasn't that tough, I think, and that's probably part of, if he played a tougher team like City or something like that, maybe he wouldn't have. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know with us, though, do you? When we lost to Newcastle all those years ago, weren't they already relegated as well? We had to beat them to finish top 4, didn't we? So you never know with us.
Might have had Sissoko playing that day, so
exactly. Super Sissoko. That was almost like a seamless link there, Kev. Well done.
Yeah. Well, I'm haunted by it.
Gaza, what were your thoughts when you saw the lineup?
Yeah, fairly steady lineup, really. It's good to have Kane, Bale and Son all together up front. Trying to keep a steady back 4 as well. I think that's been part of the key to our season, is chopping and changing that back 4 too much. For me, you need to have a settled defence. Get used to playing with each other. All right, we might not have the best back 4 in the world, but if they're playing regularly week in, week out, then chances are we're going to have some form of cohesion between the 4 of them and try and keep out some goals. But yeah,
it's a bit harsh on Rodon, I felt, to leave him out of the squad altogether, and Tanganga, because they were doing well towards the end of Jose, and that's not something you can say about a lot of the players, is it really?
Yeah, I quite like Joe Rodon. All right, he's made a couple of errors, but he's a young lad, so he's going to make errors. More game time he gets, the more chance he'll get to cut those errors out, in my view. So yeah, it's a little bit harsh, but
I've got a theory.
Go on.
I think Levy was putting a bit of, pressure on Mason to try and give some game time and get involved some of the guys that he's trying to flog, to try and get their values bumped up. So, what people are like if players aren't in the squad, if they're not featuring, then the other clubs try and bump their transfer fees down a bit, don't they? So I think maybe it was a case of shop window. Levy saying put these guys in to show that they're still involved in the first team. So when teams try and knock them down a couple of mil in the summer, he can say now they're still, trusted, valued first team members.
Wouldn't surprise me.
No, absolutely not.
That's a good theory, but it doesn't come anywhere near close to your theory of relativity.
Albert.
I'm only here for the quotes, mate. I'm only here for the quotes.
I'm always glad to see Alderweireld on the team sheet. I must admit, every time I see him playing, I mean, I think not playing him since Christmas on the odd occasion when it dropped him for no reason with this Marino business, it's cost us a lot of points. I really do. I really think so. The games we've drawn and lost because he hasn't been playing.
It's a complete stubbornness, wasn't it, from Mourinho? It obviously upset him in some way, and he was punishing the team to sort of play out his personal agenda, wasn't he? There was talk that maybe Toby had been the one leaking, stories to the press about, the players weren't happy and whatnot. So I think that's why Toby got left out.
There was also a rumour when his wife was due to give birth, he got begged into playing for, I can't remember what game it was, a big game. So he said, right, I'll play. And then he got dropped for the next 3 or 4 games, and then they had a quite big row.
Yeah.
Again, all rumours. It
does surprise me with Mourinho, such a management master. I don't know. Some of the things he did in his time with us, it was almost like he was trying to get sacked, wasn't it? I think we discussed it on last week's show. The telling Tanganga that he wasn't a centre back. Telling Sanchez that he targeted him when Man United played him. Telling Aurier that he was a liability, like before we were about to start a match. Just some strange things, some very strange decisions. Yeah. You're going to give away a penalty. Then going to the actual game itself, the talking points for the match, the Lo Celso challenge and the VAR inertia. I think we should start with that one first. We go to Gaza on that one first. What do you think of the decision not to? Did he actually get a booking? I can't remember the guy. Did the ref book him? Not even a booking.
Nothing, I don't think.
Well, I remember, no. I was quite a few beers in by that point, but I don't think
yeah, same here, but
I'm going to start straight away with the West Ham Chelsea one when the guy was trying to clear the ball and followed through and then got red carded. How's I can't remember the geezer's name now.
Balbuena.
No, sorry, the Villa, the Sheffield United player who was it Fleck?
Fleck.
Yeah. I don't even know how has he not even been sent off for that. It was intent there.
I think the two are linked.
And that smile afterwards as well.
Cynical.
Yeah, I think the two are linked because the referees, they got so much criticism after that West Ham one that they didn't know what's a red card anymore. That I think they just edged on the side of caution and decided not to do anything. That the referee did, and he thought if it is a red card, the VAR will help me out here. But
the rules state that if you stand on someone's face with a bit of intent, that's a red card, right? That's in danger.
I don't think it's even intent, Gazza. If it's dangerous play, whether you meant it or not. As the referees tell us on a Sunday morning, it's off. Even if you meant it or not, it's dangerous play. It's endangering the opponent. Yeah, it is. And for the VAR to not even ask him to have a look at it and just say, no, that's not a red card.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Bunch of clowns. And the was the Sonny offside before or after that?
After, I believe, wasn't it?
Just a bad day for the VAR, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Clinical from
flag paper, wasn't it, as usual? Flag paper.
We've said it a long time. Often you should go back to the feet, shouldn't they? Just do it from the feet.
Feet only, yeah.
Clinical from Bale, hat trick. We'll go to you on that one, Jens. What did you think of Gareth Bale's performance?
Yeah, it was all right. No, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. He was after the match. I went back and watched his game against Inter Milan when we were 4-0 down, and he scored those 3 goals, and it was Obviously the running wasn't quite as hard, but the shooting and the play reminded me of the old Bale. Yeah.
Apart from the hair.
It's nice to have. It's nice to have him playing when he's playing like that. And I mean, as we discussed last week, I said he doesn't turn up in the big games, and you and Dubbers very correctly said that. Well, he's more there for the smaller games. To when teams are sitting back, 10 men behind the ball, he can break them down.
Small game player rather than a big game player.
You say that, mate. How many minutes has he had against, for example, the top 6 clubs?
Yeah,
currently,
that's true.
He didn't get that many. He had a chance against Arsenal, but who stood out against Arsenal? Nobody really.
None of them.
No.
Maybe the manager purely for his goal.
Yeah,
he's actually got more goals than any of Chelsea's strikers now. Interestingly.
Wow.
Yeah. They've been misfiring, granted, but he's actually scored more than them. And what was the other stat? He scored more goals than Liverpool have scored at home in 21 or the whole season? I don't know if anyone else saw that. Yeah, he scored more goals than Liverpool have scored at home in some period of time. I actually think the performance against Arsenal from Bale, it kind of gave, and the comments that Bale made when he was away with Wales, it kind of gave Mourinho an excuse to drop him again, didn't it? After he was kind of playing him begrudgingly before that, wasn't he? Everyone was baying for him to start, and he came in, scored goals, was doing well, and then it gave him a perfect excuse. I think it was like my dick's bigger than yours competition with Daniel Levy, wasn't it? I didn't want him, so I'm not going to play him. He came in, started scoring goals, doing well, and then Mourinho's nose was put out of joint, so he had a perfect excuse to drop him, didn't he? After those Wales comments, he could go to Daniel Levy. See, he's not a team player, he's only here to get fit, he's not pulling in the same direction. Then he had a perfect excuse not to play him again, did he?
Excuse me, I was just about to add one observation I made about Bale was he done a lot of backtracking. He was found on the edge of the box, helping out and making turning things around. He was involved in breaking down a play and passing it forward again, which surprised me. I focused on it quite a lot and didn't actually see him doing it. So
that's not that he can't do it. If he didn't want to do it for Mourinho, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder whether it was a form and confidence thing with some of those players, which the confidence vampire Mourinho had been on, hadn't he? So it just showed with Bale that if he did want to do it, he could do it. So it wasn't an ability thing. It was almost a decision not to, because he didn't like playing for Mourinho kind of thing. And he's come out with a few comments, hasn't he, since saying we're a bit freer to go on the front foot and attack a bit more now. So
Slight digs.
Without saying it directly, but putting it out there that what he feels.
Next point for you, Kev, a rare Harry Kane off day. We don't hear that very often, do we?
I know. All round. I mean, he was doing the same sort of stuff, but the end product just wasn't. Was he trying too hard? I don't know. And was he pissed off because everyone else was scoring? I think he was. But am I allowed to say that, by the way? I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah. But he tried, and just has days. But you've got to get him off free kicks. I don't care. As long as I'm 66 next birthday, but I don't think he's ever going to score one in my time. I really don't. Well, not for us anyway. He might do it for England, but
one against Aston Villa right at the very start, and that was a deflection, I think.
That was 7 years ago.
Deflection. Yeah, I did see that recently. Actually, it was replayed somewhere, but no, not when you've got the likes of Bale there. When you've got Bale there, left-footed to take one. Lo Celso there.
To be fair, it was a good game for him to have an off day on, wasn't it? Whilst we were winning 4-0.
Yeah. But he wants to score because he wants to score because that's all he lives for. But
he had that early chance, didn't he, when Reguilon teed him up on the edge of the area and he sort of pitch and wedged it over the bar, and then he hit free kick into the wall, didn't he, Kev? So I think he thought, I'll save my energy for another day. I'm sure there were goals there for him in his hunt for the golden boot.
But I did actually watch him. I always watch him when he's celebrating with other players, and it's a team thing with him. It's still a team thing. I don't think he thinks, he likes to celebrate and call all the other players around to join in the celebrations with the team. The scorer.
You're not going to get me saying a bad word about Harry Kane. Never.
No, as a servant to the club, no.
Top boy. Who's next? We've got Dele Alli's performance. I think we're back to Jens, aren't we? What did you make of Dele's performance?
I thought it was improved from some of the performances we've seen when he's been playing. He was a couple of his little cheeky flicks and tricks came off, but nothing to write home about. He doesn't have the amount of match practice as he should have, and I think if we can get him back to what he used to be, he's a lethal player to have. But he needs the time on the pitch to get his rhythm back, I think. And I personally would like to see him and Mora battling for that number 10 spot. If he's going to stay next season. Sorry?
And Ndombele. I
prefer him to play deeper. Yeah, I prefer him to play. Personally, I'd like Højbjerg sort of as the anchor and Lo Celso and Ndombele in the middle. I think there's a lot of creativity
played well.
there.
With the few times we've tried it, they've never played well together though. Sort of 2 or 3 times. It's a failing sort of experiment every time they do try it.
But who was that? Who was that under? That was under Mourinho, wasn't it?
Mourinho, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe with a different manager, a bit more freedom.
A confidence vampire himself.
Yes. Yeah.
Gaza, Dele Alli.
Yeah, again, just as Jens has said, he needs the game time, really. He hasn't had much of it recently. He had a little spell when he was required, when all of a sudden Mourinho thought, I need to get Bale and Addy in because I'm short of numbers. And then they get drop bombed straight back out the squad again. And I think apparently, according to Eric Dyer, he's saying that in training he's been really good and really impressive, hence why he started at the weekend. So he's got to keep putting it in training.
Eric Dyer also said he liked his hair as well, though, didn't he?
So, they've got a little bit of a bromance going on, so you never know.
It's back. The bromance is back, isn't it? Had a bit of a fallout. Maybe it's because he realises he might be off to Roma, so it's at the final days of their bromance.
Yeah. That'd be great if he can come back to some form of the player that he was 2 years ago when under Pochettino, when he was flying for those 2 seasons.
Well, you and Needs always used to have this argument when we were in the stands, didn't we, about his flicks and his tricks, and I always used to say, well, that's what he's in there for, Yeah, if he's going to play, that's what he's there for, to try and unlock pick the lock in the last third, isn't he? I think Needham more than you was always frustrated with his flicks and tricks, but I said that was his role in the team, wasn't it, to try and break through and that final third to create chances for game.
For those flicks and tricks, in my book, like it's 0-0, 1-0.
That's right. You're right.
Unless you're confident enough to put it off, if 3-4-0 out, then fine, flick and trick and do what you like.
He very rarely dominated games though, where he'd be absolutely brilliant. In the actual game, he was more a case of him taking his chances, wasn't it? Finishing his dinner. He'd get at Chelsea game. At Chelsea game when we done him 2-0, these 2 headers. He did nothing in the whole game, did he? But he scored the 2 headers. So it's not a bad skill to have, but it's not like he ever dominated the games, was it? He should pop up at good times with goals. Last point on last weekend's match. Then this is for you, Kev. Winksy's little cameo at the end there. How do you think Winksy did?
Little boy lost, I thought, at times. Tried things and they didn't come off. He tried a few crossfield passes and they didn't make it. According to my notes, which I've mysteriously lost about an hour before this programme started tonight. I couldn't find it anywhere. I've been writing it down for days, all the observations from to the game and match of the day 2, and all the things I thought might be coming up. And Winksy was one of them, and I can't remember the actual passages of play, but all I know is he gave away the ball a couple of times. But he's under pressure like the rest of them. It's all up in the air, isn't it? And they say there's everything to play for and nothing to play for at the moment, because where are we going, And where's he going? Because obviously the transfer talks and who knows what's going where, and shop window maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends who comes in. I think Levy wants to keep Winks, doesn't he? He's quite attached to him from coming through the ranks and whatnot. That's one of the reasons that him and Mourinho butted heads. I think one of the many reasons.
Well,
homegrown player as well.
Homegrown England international as such, but is he good enough to the step forward we want to go to? If we want to go to a high level for next season or rebuilding, I don't know.
That's a good question. Very good question.
Few of the apparently in the when he was playing coming up through the ranks in the youth teams, he was more of an attacking player, which I found hard to believe because he's not really that good at shooting, is he? He sort of rushes at it, snatches at it. That fluky one from the halfway line when he crossed it in for bail, didn't it? Went straight in.
He scored a tap in against Fulham or something. So
when he jumped into Mauricio's arms.
Yeah.
Speaking of long crossfield balls, Toby was back on fire, wasn't he? Hit 3 or 4 beautiful long passes. Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
it was. Before we go on to this week's Tottenham talking points, we've obviously got Kev with us this week. It's his first time on the show, so we've got a few questions to get to know Kev. So I've got to put my little ticker along the bottom here. You ready for this, Kev? Look, you ready? All right, let's go. If I press the button, look, White Hart Memory Lane with Kev.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this? Quick fire.
Go.
Do you want to go and find your notes?
No. Come on, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say?
Right, here we go. The questions will pop up on the screen. Why Spurs? How did you become a Spurs fan?
My dad took me to Arsenal when I was about 6. And I didn't like it.
Put you off for life.
No, I was about 6. I lived in North London, the other side of Clissold Park, which is very near the Highbury. And my dad took me to a couple of night games, which was great, but I just didn't like Arsenal. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. And my mates were Spurs supporters, so it was Saturday morning on the bus up to Spurs.
Brilliant.
That was it. Simple. Yeah. I suppose it was about 62, 63 when my dad took me. But when I was able to go on my own, it was 1966 was my first game. It was September 1966 when they played Arsenal, and it was 3-1. We beat them 3-1 that day.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
There's a guy, Arthur, who goes on the Irish Hotspurs channel, and he asked him the other day, he said, when you were little, what happened if your mates were Arsenal fans? And he said something like, I used to give him a thump and tell him that. It's brilliant. I used to give him a whack in the mouth and tell him to support Tottenham instead. I think you've kind of answered it, Kev, but next question. First home game.
First home game was Arsenal 3-1. Second home game was Fulham, and it was 4-3.
Not a bad start, eh?
Yeah.
Who was your first?
Sorry.
Who was your first goal?
My first goal, I can remember.
Yeah. The first goal in the Arsenal game, the first ever one you saw. Who was the first goal scorer? Can you remember?
I think it was Robertson.
I
think it was Jimmy Robertson. I wouldn't swear to it. Pat Jennings was a goal. I know that much because he was my hero at the time, me being of Irish extraction. So
whereabouts were you in the ground?
That one, I was up in the enclosure.
Trying to get a good view of Pat.
There's a little pen above, in between the shelf and the Park Lane. There was a small little compound area there, which was the schoolboys area, really. But the Fulham game, the second game, I was on the back of the Paxton Road. Some of it was standing in those days.
Can you imagine if you got a kid like Jens in there, 8 foot fucking tall?
No, I know. Yeah, I always had that trouble anyway. Yeah, but it was 1 of 6 to get in there in the schoolboys entrance.
Did they have the peanut man? Well, they used to bring the peanuts round and throw the
Percy
peanuts.
Dalton, yeah, he was there. Percy Dalton, yeah, he was there. Yeah.
Gazza, what was the name of that guy up the Paxton end with the old chips? He used to spit all over his chips. Can you remember him? Can you remember what he was called? Yeah, the burger van. What did he used to say?
Get your burgers, all the flavours, jumbo.
Get your chips here. Salt and vinegar, spit all over your chips and your burgers.
Slime burger.
Yeah.
As to the flavour.
Yeah. That was funny. Next question. Your first away day. Can you remember when you first went to watch Spurs away? Where was it? Any memories?
That would have been Arsenal at Highbury in the Clock End. But the first one outside London, I know for a fact, was Ipswich, Portman Road, about 1972. We lost that day, 2-1. Tony Want scored an own goal for Spurs. I can't remember who scored the other one. But that was the first game away on the train. Went on the football special from Liverpool Street. Yeah, I think it was about 30 bob, 150, something like that. Just
reminded me of a funny story. One of the panel members' ex-girlfriends, there was a boxing event at I think it's a new stadium. It was the Emirates, and they knew that their boyfriend was a big Tottenham fan, and it was a boxing event, I think. And she said to him when she got back, she went to the toilet and she peed all over the floor because it was at Arsenal. Just a sway flavour. Peed all over the floor, all over the seats and stuff.
Yeah, I know someone who's done that as well, but that was on the on one of the statues outside.
What's that?
It was on one of the statues outside.
Oh yes, peed on one of the statues today. What did you say, Gaz?
It was actually somebody's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. I didn't want to mention it, whose it was, but yeah, it's like I peed all over the seat and didn't wash it up, and all over the floor as well.
Yeah, you showed me a
you didn't marry her.
No. Can you remember your first Spurs shirt?
Yes, it was before the days of replica shirts. It was an Umbro green shirt with a sew on Tottenham white square badge with a blue cockerel, because I was Pat Jennings, Spurs, Ireland. That was me.
Pat's back at the moment, and he's doing some work with the goalkeepers again. He's back, like 78, I think he is, 77, 78, and he's back.
70-something, yeah. Well, Jens probably heard me talking about him, but I lived in Hertford for 20 or 25 years, 26 years, and I always used to see him in Hertford all the time. You used to see him about in the paper shop, everything. I always said hello to him and that. And the guy in the paper shop, the Indian guy, is no longer with us, but he didn't know who he was, and I said, well, after he left the shop, I said, no, that is. He went, no. I told him, and the next time I knew, he had his shop revamped, and he got Pat Jennings to open it. So on the table, I told him who he was. Pat probably got a couple of £100 out of that. I should have been his agent.
Couple of free sweets, bag of crisps and some free sweets. Everyone says what massive hands he's got. I don't know why I'm showing my hands because they're traditionally small.
Shovels,
shovels. Yeah. Was he one of the first ones, Kev, to wear those like gardening gloves, weren't they? He was famous for not wearing gloves, but it was one of the first ones.
Very rarely wore. Yeah, but then he wore just like
Has anyone met him in recent times with his fingers all bedraggled, like broken fingers and stuff, or no? You've met him, Jens, haven't you? Yeah, you've met him.
Yeah, I met him. I don't know how many years ago that was, 7 or 8, and we went to Arsenal away. And my mate Jason organised the whole corporate thing. We had dinner beforehand or lunch beforehand, and then we got on the coach with Pat, and then we lost 1-0. And we came out and we were waiting on the coach. 45 minutes later, Pat ambles along, gets on the coach like, "You're right, lads," and he'd been in with the Arsenal chairman and the board members having a drink, and we're like, "Yeah, mate, we've been waiting here 45 minutes for you."
Can you imagine him? Bollocks, they'll wait for me. Like I'm Pat Jennings, they'll wait for me.
Yeah.
His son, he's got a son called Pat Jennings, actually.
Is he really?
Yeah. And my son played him when they were about 10 years old, and Pat Jennings was a goalkeeper. His son was a goalkeeper as well.
Yeah.
And my son sort of broke from the halfway line as a forward, and Pat Jennings' son ran towards him, and my son's like me, pretty small. And bang, and my son would spark out, and this fella's just like that, just like Pat, but double the width of him, and that's Pat's on the other side of the thing, and we're both going like that. Like I thought my son was gone. I thought it was a hospital job, just it trampled him, right? But he's ended up playing in Northern Ireland, I think, somewhere up that way, for some sort of like semi-pro. He's probably he'd be 40 years old now. He wouldn't be playing anymore now because my oldest son's 41. Yeah.
Goalkeepers can go quite late on in their careers, though, can't they?
Yeah.
We've got a goalkeeper at Sunday League who's 45, 46, so maybe Pat Jr. is still playing somewhere. If anyone knows, can you put it in the comments section below? Just Google Pat Jr. and let us know if he's still playing. Or even better, Pat Jr. if you're watching.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely, but
next
with the time difference to Ireland. If you could go back in time to one famous game in Spurs history, which one would it be? One that you haven't been to before, I should clarify there, Kev.
I haven't been to before. Sorry, you got me there. I don't know. One I didn't go to before.
Let's open it up to
I'd say the Ajax game. The Moura hat-trick, I think.
Yeah. I'll open it up to the other guys as well then, while we're on that question. You boys, is there any famous game in time that you haven't been to that you would like to go back and be there?
What, within our lifespan? Or
any period of the club?
The title-winning game in 1961, just so I could say I've seen Spurs win the league.
Well, funnily enough, today is the actual anniversary of the double, isn't it? When they won the cup final, the second part of the double. So good link there. Yeah. Jens, where would you go to?
84 UEFA Cup final.
Oh yeah, that would be a good one actually, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't you go?
I remember. No, I was 8 years old, mate.
I was in Brussels and I was in both games. Brussels.
Was it? Yeah. I was sent to bed at I think it was 20 minutes before full time, and then I couldn't sleep, but I heard my brother shouting and screaming, and I ran out into the room, and I was like, "What happened?" And he was going, "Yeah." I said, "What happened? What happened?" He was going, "Yeah," and I went, "What happened?" And he started crying.
Yeah.
You got any memories of those trips then, Kev? Because obviously we weren't there. It'd be interesting to find that.
It's horrendous out there. Brussels really was a lot of trouble. The police caused it all. Most of it, I should think. One Spurs fan got shot that night, I'm afraid. Killed, shot in the back by a publican. Brian Flanagan, his name was. I'll never forget that. No, Flanagan. There was trouble, but after that, we were in a pub at 8 o'clock in the morning after the game. But we weren't drinking all day. It was our base. The coach just dropped us off. We were in the pub all day. We were having meals. The woman was gorgeous. It was a bit like hello, hello. It was a scenario where we were speaking pidgin French and they were speaking pidgin English. You know, and it was
pissed your shop.
Yeah, and she was making us all these croque monsieurs, or they call them, you know, wet French bread, or Belgian bread. And it was all great. And then once after that, after the shooting happened, the police went mad and they told us all to get out of the pub. And the woman said, "No, leave them alone. These have been in here all day. They're really nice. They spend all loads of money. They're good boys. No problems." And they went away. And about an hour later, they came back. And the front doors of the pub were probably 10 foot tall and a double doors. And they were each one was about 3 foot wide. So they're big swinging double doors. The police charged them practically with a battering ram and took them off the hinges for us all out, and we're hitting everyone on the way up of the thing, got us out onto the streets. The woman was crying, saying, "Leave them alone. They're not troublemakers." And we weren't. We were there for the day and to enjoy it. But the actual stadium itself, I can't remember the name of it now. The actual stadium, it was the pits. It was like a sort of it was like the Dog and Duck at Walthamstow. It was rubbish. The terraces were rubbish. They were crumbling. It was bad concrete. It wasn't a nice arena. We should have done better on both games. We should have, we should have won it before the extra time of penalties, I think. But it was just the way. I was glad to see us win, but we should have won better. We were better than that. Yeah,
we had a few players missing, didn't we? There, so it's quite a good achievement to win with all the players that we did have out.
Yeah,
Tony Parks.
Yeah.
Well, it's just you live on that forever. It's one of those names were made, you know.
Yeah.
It's joyous because it kept the momentum going, and then sort of the wheels come off after that for a few years. And
Birkinshaw had already said he was leaving, hadn't he, by that stage?
Yeah.
So after the final, that was the first sort of wheel coming off there, wasn't it?
Yeah. We could have done a lot better. 84, 85, 86. We had a really good team with Hoddle still in his prime. Hoddle, we should have won the league, but our home form let it down. It really did. The home form. Losses and draws. If we'd have perked up with that, we'd have won the league. We lost it by about 13 or 14 points at the end to Everton. I was there the night Everton practically won the title near the end of that season.
My friend is an Everton season ticket holder, and he said it all came down to one game pretty much. Then it was an evening game between Tottenham and Everton, and he said we should have beaten them. We missed a few chances, and they got away with a draw, or they beat us, didn't they? And then they went on from there.
What happened was that game. That night was actually postponed from January or February, because of the snow. I had tickets in Park Lane that night. I got 2 tickets for a friend of mine for the Saturday for the Saturday game, and it was snow, and it got postponed. And we were on the roll. We were, and sort of like we had that buckle period, and we tripped up and stuttered and everything else. They come down, and I think if we'd have played them on the Saturday, we'd have beaten them and maintained the momentum.
Steve Perryman says that all the games just built up because of the ones that were delayed, that we had to play like every 2 days or something, and we just knackered, weren't we? We lost a bit of zip and energy.
Yeah.
So
that was the year we were up. We won at Liverpool for the first time. I was up there as well at Anfield. Yeah, that was great.
Nice.
I was in the Cop that day. That was good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How did that go?
We knew some Liverpool lads, and we used to go up there every week. We used to go out for the weekend. We used to go up there on a Friday afternoon on the beer with the lads on the town and nightclubs in Liverpool with about 10 of them and 3 or 4 of us. We stay at their houses and then go out all day Saturday night and drive home Sunday. First couple of years we lost up there, and then we won a couple, and it was good. But when Spurs scored, Crooks scored in front of the Kop, and my mate and I just stood there and we just froze. We couldn't move, but you could hear a pin drop in the Kop. You could actually and we went to the pub afterwards over the road from the Kop, and it was like the Queen had died, if you know what I mean. It was like no one was speaking. They were stunned. The Scousers were stunned.
You kind of it's death by implication when you're in the away end, isn't it? I remember going to Watford away a couple of years ago, and they scored after about 2 minutes, and like obviously all the Watford fans were going crazy, and I wasn't celebrating, so it took them about 2 minutes to work out that I was a Tottenham fan. It was could feel their eyes boring into the side of my head, and some of the. Watford, the family club, they've got the reputation for being like a friendly. Gosh, some of the things they were saying to the Sun. I won't repeat them on here, but the family club indeed. Watford went down in my estimation that day, I tell you.
I was never one for wearing colours at football matches, though, so I wasn't that stupid, because.
But again, if you're not wearing colours, they know who you are, don't they? Really?
Well,
the Liverpool stuff on, death by implication. Right, next question. Favourite all-time Spurs player? Bring that back up again.
Hoddle, without doubt.
Yeah.
Glenn Hoddle, yeah, without doubt. Must have seen most of his games. I hardly missed a game of his that he played, home or away. I saw nearly everyone. I hardly missed a game in those days. I was seeing 40, 50 games a season. The only sort of games I weren't seeing were away at Middlesbrough and a midweek game or something like that, or a far-flung European game where I didn't have the money to go midweek. There wasn't cheap flights in those days, or they were behind because if you remember in the early 80s, the Iron Curtain was still in place, so you had West Germany, East Germany. So I went to Munich to see Spurs lose there, but if they played another team behind the curtain, Red Star or one of those, you couldn't go unless you had lots and lots of money, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see Hoddle a few times. I went to my first game in 1985, so I saw a few games 85, 86, 87 with Hoddle, so I was lucky enough to see him live. You guys, Jens and Gazza, did you see Hoddle play as well?
I never got to see Hoddle. I was there just before Paul Gascoigne left. Managed to see him for a couple of games.
Yeah, saw Gazza play. I was there for Oxford, the 4-1 or 4-2 in the FA Cup. Gazza scored 2 goals, I believe. Yeah, I was there that day. We got to, my mum is a stickler for punctuality, so we got to the ground about 12 o'clock. It was a 3 o'clock kickoff, and when we got to, there's nobody there, nothing happening, and where we were going to our seats, we were in the West Stand, right in the corner there, and as we were going past the ticket office, we saw Gazza inside the ticket office. He was mucking around and pulling faces and mucking around with the ticket office. Then we went into the stadium early as well because my mum wanted to find us seats, stickler for punctuation and stuff. It's me and Big Gael actually, Gaz. Jens, you know him as well. So we went in there early, pretty much empty stadium, and we had free reign. We could walk up and down the seats and stuff. So we walked up to look down the tunnel, and we just as we looked down the tunnel, Gazza was in the tunnel. And me and Ali were like, Gazza, and he looked round to us and said, "All right, boys," give us a little wave and stuff. So we had our little moment in the universe with Gazza then as well. But he was pissing around all over the place, just literally in the ticket office, pissing around. Yeah, well, yeah, literally, yeah. He was different gravy. That was the cup run when he was just basically carried us through, didn't he? The younger generation don't realise. I was speaking to a female blogger whose name shall remain. I won't say who she was, but I was going through my favourite all-time Spurs team, and I put Gazza in at the time, and she was like, "Gazza, he was only there maybe 2 or 3 years. How can you put Gazza in your all-time Spurs team?" And I was just like shaking my head, going, "You poor naive fool! You poor naive fool!" Great player. He was one player that could actually turn a game on his own. Can he grab a game?
Yeah.
Was there any sort of any of the previous players, Kev, like in the previous eras that were like that?
Oh, Jimmy Greaves, like that. Yeah.
He could grab a game on his own, could he, and turn a game?
Well, Yeah, it's all right looking back. You could see some games where he didn't score, but that was just like we were saying earlier about Harry Kane. There'd have the odd occasion. He wasn't a guaranteed scorer, but he was scoring 9 times out of 10. Well, it wouldn't be 9 times out of 10, but, he was a goal scorer. But, yeah, I'd say Hoddle, because of what he did, he was a scorer and a goal maker, a goal player. You mentioned old Weir pinging those balls about Sunday.
Yeah.
Hoddle would do that 3 or 4 times every game, guaranteed. Yeah. And there'd be pinpoint accuracy.
It's like he had pitching wedges, wasn't it? Yeah. Pitching wedges on his left and right foot.
It was just a natural talent, It's a shame he just couldn't carry it over to management. I think that's one thing he could. I think he was too. He had an arrogance about him. I think he, he couldn't relate to players. I think he had to try and outdo them. He was above them.
Matt Letizia, who's obviously quite a good player himself, which is a bit of an understatement. He said Hoddle used to get frustrated in training, like they were trying to do drills, with corner drills, and he'd be saying to the guys, and I think it was people that were good corner takers as well, Beckham and people like that. I want you to put it in the back post. I want you to put it at the front post. And he used to get frustrated that they couldn't do it, and that's where his man management sort of let him down a bit. He couldn't sort of hide the fact that he was pissed off that he used to walk over there and like not like this, and like ping it straight on a sixpence, and he got frustrated that players couldn't do as easily what he could do, kind of thing.
Yeah. Greaves, you see, when I was the age of 10 years old, and that when Greaves was there, we all wanted to be Jimmy Greaves in the local park, but you didn't appreciate football. You appreciate it from a different start. He was a goal scorer then, but then you appreciated a more mature player and watching him play an all-round game, if you know what I mean.
Yes, it's strange, isn't it? Because he never liked football, did he? Which I find odd. He always said I wasn't that bothered. I think he said I enjoyed playing, but I didn't enjoy watching the game, which is, I guess, that's a bit of a caveat.
He was a poacher. That was it. That was his game, So.
Yeah, great player.
Yeah.
Next question: favourite era and team. What was your favourite period of being a Spurs fan and your favourite team?
Well, I might be old, but I'm too young for the double and that. And 67, I enjoyed 71, 72, 73. With, the UEFA Cup final, the 2 League Cups. That was good. I think 81, 82 that was that coming of age. I was 25 years old when we won that. And I was going to every game that season. And 82, the final in 81 against City was fantastic. The 82, not so good. It was one of those crap finals that you're just glad of a win. Dragged it out to a replay. Actually, I was rather teed off with the Saturday game for the 81 final because we couldn't go out and celebrate on Saturday night. It was just we got cheated at that. It's like. And when we won on the Thursday night, you couldn't go out for a drink either because it was 10 o'clock at night and you couldn't go over for a drink. We had to sort of delay celebrations, like you'd want to sort of get home on a Saturday night and celebrate with the lads, but it wasn't doable.
Steve Perryman said on his podcast the other day that the first game, it was all pomp and posterity, like they had people coming in saying, right, you're only allowed on the pitch 10 minutes before the game, and, you're not allowed on this part of the ground. You have to stand here, when we, basically it was all things you couldn't do, and they felt really restricted, and they were expected to win, weren't they, the game? And then he said with the Thursday game, the FA were just like, you can have 100 tickets each, they weren't bothered anymore. They'd done their bit for the year, kind of thing. And he said it freed up the players as well. That the freedom that they got from not having to someone like telling them all these rules and regulations and stuff.
I didn't get a ticket for the 81 final. I had to pay on the turnstile and hop over.
Yeah, my dad went to that. I didn't actually know. He told me the other day. He was like, "Yeah, I went to the first game, but he didn't get a ticket for the." Probably blames my mum.
The tickets, I think, $2.50. I think to get in for standing in those days. The going rate was a $5 to the gate man. I gave him a tenner just to make sure. You just go in with someone, you squeeze in with someone else, and once you're inside Wembley, I don't know if you know how it worked. Do you?
I went in there a few times.
The
old Wembley.
With once you're inside, you just swap a ticket with someone. You just come down to go to the toilet, and you come back down and bring down a spare one, and you both go up. And the only thing we did.
The toilets were horrific, weren't they?
Well, the toilets were halfway down on the stairs, weren't they? Because most people never made it down to the bottom. It was just a pool of water, wasn't it?
Miles away from the ground as well, weren't you? Because they had the racetrack around the edge.
That's right,
Greyhound track.
That's the sort of things you don't miss from football in the olden days,
No, toilet facilities have improved tenfold.
Yeah.
With the prawn sandwich brigade coming into the game, eh? At least the toilets have been us pigs, Tottenham and football fans. We have to deal with any old kind of facilities before that, didn't we? Most memorable UK away day.
It'll have to be Anfield, I think. Anfield 85. That's the 1-0 win with Garth Brooks.
The Titanic game, the first time we'd won there since the Titanic.
Yeah. That was a speech to biggest with that one, yeah.
Have we won twice there since? There was a cup game, wasn't there, when Klinsmann scored, and then
Klinsmann in the cup,
Modric scored.
Modric, yeah.
We beat him 2-0, I think. Yeah, that was we were all over him that season.
Yeah.
Most memorable European away day.
I liked Frankfurt away. I trying to think. Coddle scored the goal. I think we drew, but we went through. We lost 2-1. I'm trying to remember. I know we were losing and we were on our way out, and Coddle scored a goal, and we went through. I think we lost. I think it was 2-1, and we would have lost, but we got the away. It was the away goal again. I'd love to. You caught me off the beat there. I can't remember. That was it. It was a great day out. We went home with a massive coach trip on the ferry, Zeebrugge, and then it was like a 14-hour coach ride down to southern Germany. Oh, Jesus!
What was the lager like in Germany?
There was lots of it. Yeah. We went to Bayern as well, but the Frankfurt one was better. The Bayern one was rubbish because number one, we were so far away. It was like, as you said, it was the old Olympic Stadium, the 1972 Olympics, or was it 74 Olympics, 72, 74? And it's the Olympic Stadium, the old one, and it was foggy, and we couldn't see. We were in the back of the stadium. We couldn't even see the nearest set of goalposts. And we followed the get matched by the electronic scoreboard. That's all you could see. You could only in the crowd because it was so foggy you couldn't even see. We could just about see Ray Clements when he went to pick the ball up when he went behind the goal, and it should have been replayed. It was just a total waste of time being there. Although the nightlife was good.
It sums up Spurs, doesn't it? Some of our best away days have actually been losses, like Inter Milan, Frankfurt, Man City. In the Champions League ran a few. They're not even glorious wins, are they? They're glorious defeats.
I think in them days, we were doing so well in them days. We didn't mind losing here and there. This was the thing. It wasn't a desperate climb to. You'd won the 81. We'd lost the Milk Cup, and then we'd won the Cup, and then we were in. We were on a roll. It got worse. 5 or 6 years later, then we went on another bad run before we lost in 87 to Coventry in the Cup. That was a sad day. It's traumatized me still,
Yeah, but a little boy cried that day. I was crying my eyes out. Poor Gary Mabbott. Yeah.
But then we had, we had a lot of bad results with the Arsenal one where they stuffed us on that third game. And
I remember that. That was my first year supporting Spurs. I was saying to my brother the other day, even my first year supporting Spurs, those dirty red C words fucked us up, didn't they? But what I always say to people, Kev, though, is at that time, 87, we were on a par with Arsenal. Our runners were kind of fairly even, with FA Cups and league titles and stuff. We were on a fairly even keel with them then, and since then they sort of won a few.
Actually, no, they've been in the wilderness for quite a year. At 87, they hadn't won anything since 79 when they won the FA Cup. They had a sort of 10-year spell of barrenness. They hadn't won anything.
Then George Graham won them a few things, didn't he? And then the Wenger years.
89, they won the double. 89, 91. They sort of had the hoodoo thing, and then they went on from there. We sort of went backwards. We went
one way, and they went the other, unfortunately. But we were on a par in those days, with honours and stuff. Most importantly, last question: favourite match day Spurs pub?
Well, I haven't been for so long now. Where did I used to go? Used to go to the Northumberland, which was the Billy Nick. Yeah,
all right.
That was the one. That was the one I used to go to back in the days. That's talking back. Going back to the Everton game in '85, I was in there that night with some Everton fans, and it was those days where you could go to have a pint afterwards and you could chat about the game, So well done, lads. I think you've won the league now. It wasn't like let's have a fight and all this and all that. It was like they were like, "Are we safe in here to have a pint?" I said, "Yeah, no, it was only a few pints because it was 10 o'clock nearly, like the time we went in there." That was my sort of regular. I started off in a corner pin when I was just a kid, 16, but it was crowded and horrible, and
it's
really
crowded in there.
Yeah, but we're trying to
reopening it, aren't they?
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah, they're going to turn it into some I don't know, the Tottenham
bistro.
Brewery. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
posh bistro.
A lot of the times we used to drink in the pub in Dalston, which is probably about 5 or 6 miles away. It's quite a run, and it's a 15-20 minute drive, and we used to drink there, meet there at 12, and leave about sort of 2 o'clock, even 2:30. We'd leave, belt it up there, and get in the car park quickly, and get in the ground. We might be 2 or 3 minutes late, but it didn't bother.
That's what we do now, Kev. We get up to London, we get a Marylebone, and they go to the sports bar there. So we get up into town, then we're like 20 minutes away on the underground, aren't we? So we get up there early doors. Yeah. Gazza, where was that pub where you and Showbiz were in? You want to tell that story when you got locked in?
Like the pleasure rooms.
Not the Sammy Jessup story, the other one.
Yeah.
Although if we get enough likes in the comment below, we'll get Gazza to tell the Sammy Jessup story as well.
That was the pleasure we got locked into.
It was.
Arsenal. Yeah. So we went back in and watched. I know the Arsenal fans were being marched down the road by the old Bill, and everyone who was in the pleasure rooms obviously got word what was going on, so they started launching whatever was in the pleasure rooms out onto the Arsenal fans. It kind of kicked off, so they locked us in, kind of herded us back in and locked us into the strippers. So
I think a mate of mine actually owned that. I think if that's the one I'm thinking of. Joey Wiz is a mate of mine. I think he owned that. He's well known. He's into all that rave stuff and all that, your generation music,
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, actually, how I feel quite bad for the new generation of Tottenham fans coming through, because they'll never get to experience the intensity and the atmosphere where you could cut it with a knife when the Arsenal and Chelsea or West Ham fans are going past that corner. Past the Bell and Hare, when we used to come out and give them a good welcome, and the police would give them an escort. You could just feel the tension in the air, and the modern fans never going to get to experience that, are they? Because they've moved the away fans down the other end of the stadium, so they can ferry them in and out without having to confront us anymore. But I used to love those games, just so you could go and give them a glare and throw coins.
Saber rattling.
I mean, I'm sure none of us have ever thrown coins at them, have we?
No,
definitely not. Right, that's the end of the quick fire round, which wasn't very quick and it wasn't very fire.
Sorry, I do go on. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
No, it's all good, mate. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good content. We can edit that down and do a Q&A with Kevin and put it up on our channel. So now this takes us to questions for the panel. Spurs in the news. First question, then, the management hunt. Who's even left? Who have we been linked with today? Has anyone seen any names?
Harry Potter.
Yeah, that seems to be the links today, isn't it? Graham Potter, Scott Parker again. What I will do...
Brighton come out and said no.
Have they?
Yeah.
What I'm going to do now is got to go onto the News Now site, put in Tottenham new manager and see what the latest breaking news is. Who are we being linked with this evening? Let's have a look.
Because the rumour is Graham Potter's on £1 million a season. He's got 4 years left on his contract.
Yeah.
I did see someone joke saying that's too much for Levy to pay to get out anyway.
Absolutely. It seems to be we're still being linked with Eric Ten Hag, despite him signing a new deal. Someone came out with a good point on that earlier. In his contract, they had the option of renewing it for another year. So maybe they knew Levy was sniffing around and just kicked it in so they get compensation for it. Maybe we still are after Ten Hag.
Yeah, never know.
One that doesn't seem to be gaining any traction or any legs, which I think might be a good one, is the Bayern manager. He took him over maybe 2 years ago, and he got him playing fantastic football, didn't he? And everyone just assumes that he's taken over the German manager's job. I mean, they've said that Lowe is leaving, but no one's actually confirmed that he's going to the German national team. So he's a manager that got him playing beautiful football, like front foot. What was it they used to call the Jurgen Klopp football? Heavy metal football, or Yeah, the gegenpress and the heavy metal
Gegenpress,
football. I mean, his team has played beautiful front foot football, attacking pace at full backs, pace on the wings.
Seems to be a lot of talk about the Sevilla manager as well. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, Loppy something or other. Yeah.
They're flying.
Sorry?
They're flying at the moment, Seville.
Yeah.
He's the Spain manager, and then he went off to Real Madrid, didn't he? And then
Oh, the guy that they made resign because he said he was taking over Madrid before the last World Cup. That guy.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he lost Ronaldo, and then he had to try and make up, or they replaced him with some bloke who's nowhere near him, and then he has to try and find someone else to get 50 goals a season. And so he didn't do too well at Madrid, but at Sevilla, they're punching well above their weight. So that'll be an interesting link.
They're in the title hunt as it stands.
Yeah, it's we're linked with the Italian guys, aren't we? Conte and Sarri.
Conte, yeah.
I don't think Italian style football would work at Tottenham. It's too passive, isn't it? Like we're building from the back and
you need good defenders.
Sideways. Well, not that. It's just they're very defence orientated, aren't they? And after what we've just been through with Mourinho, I don't think it would swing. Italian managers and Spurs styles, I don't think mesh at all.
I don't think ex-Chelsea managers and Spurs styles mesh either.
No. All right.
We're always trying to get hold of an ex-Chelsea manager, or we do get one, or we link to one.
Operation Screw Us Over, yeah. AV. Where is AVB now? He quit, didn't he? He had a stroke.
He's going to be a rally driver.
Yeah, he said he was going to quit by the time he's 50, didn't he? And be a rally driver or something.
Yeah.
AVB.
No.
So
German or Dutch, I hope.
Yeah, German, Dutch, or Argentinian. I said to Gazza in our group, our WhatsApp group earlier, the only play that Levy's got left now, because everyone's so pissed off at him, is I think to keep us sweet, keep us happy, is to get Poch back. I don't see any other play that he's got, to be honest. I can't see any management announcement being received well at the moment.
I can only imagine Pochettino coming back if he gets backed by Levy with money, and I don't see where I don't see Levy doing that, and two, where's he going to get the money from?
Yeah, but he's going to say that to any manager, isn't he? Levy, over promise and under deliver. He does it every time. Like gets the big names in, say we're going to give you this amount of money, we're going to get these players, and then he brings in your Ryan Nelsons and your Luis Saha's, isn't he? Budget. Well, Ryanair signings.
I found a little stat because Pochettino was actually only a plan B after Louis van Gaal didn't come.
We dodged the bullet there, didn't we?
Huh?
We dodged the bullet there. He was a very slow, passive, sideways kind of play, wasn't it?
Yeah. But during the Pochettino era, they brought in Sonny, Trippier, Dele Alli, and Toby Alderweireld, and the four of them between them cost less than £45 million.
So the good signings are out there.
Yeah,
the good signings are out there, but was it a case that Pochettino came in and he managed those players and made them into better players? And because all four of them played in the Champions League final, and look what they were worth, potentially still worth now. Like Sonny, how much would you get for Heung-min Son at the moment?
80, 60, 80.
Yeah, 80 probably would be a fair figure obviously if you did him with Daniel Levy, that's what he's going to want, isn't he? But
it's a depressed market, though, isn't it? That's the trouble with the lack of funds coming into clubs through the gate. Yeah, but
who's your dream management appointment then, Kev? If you could choose anyone,
someone who can speak pretty fluent English would be a help.
Yeah,
I think that's for the coaching side of things, because where they have translators, and I think something gets lost along the way. I think understanding an English game. Well, it's not an English game anymore, really, is it? But it's more of a European game. But I don't know. As you say, I said Dutch, German, and Argentinian in the mix. I don't think there's anything else that can really,
Jens of Denmark got anyone decent?
What's Jan Mulby up to?
Big Jan Mulby.
The bloke who's managing my home team side is doing wonders. I mean, we're the second largest city in the country, and we've been absolutely dreadful for years. but he's actually getting us back up. I think we're third or fourth at the moment, which is unheard of. We were a yo-yo team up until about 2 or 3 years ago. A guy called David Nielsen, young guy, but yeah, he only has experience of the Danish league. So, I wouldn't recommend.
Where's Frank Arneson now? He was highly thought of as a director of football, wasn't he? He was. Where did he end up? Was he PSG? I think he was at PSG. Or one of the
I really don't care. I really don't care. After he done us over,
went to Chelsea.
He can pop right off.
So we're no further forward on that one. Next talking point: 60th anniversary of the double today. Levy responds with £60 a ticket and a 6 p.m. kickoff. 666. Is Levy the devil? Gazza, do you want to go first? What did you make of the events of the day? £60 a ticket and a 6 p.m. kickoff.
I don't know really where to start with this because, well, obviously we haven't been to football for pretty much a whole year now, right? And I appreciate football clubs have lost a bit of money. We're playing Aston Villa, and I just respect to Aston Villa, but it's not a grade A game. We've just had this debacle about the ESL, which Levy still hasn't come out and apologised for. All the other 5 have in some roundabout way. Levy's just said, "Oh, I'm disappointed." It's a 6 p.m. kickoff. Most people will still be working till 5, 6 o'clock anyway, so they're going to struggle to get there. For example, myself, I finish at 5 o'clock at best. It's an hour and a half to get to Spurs. It's pure piss taking the principle of it. I'm not that worried about going to it myself for £60.
Arsenal have done 35 quid, haven't they?
Have they?
Well, yeah, I can say there's a couple of clubs that have come out and said £35. Now, as a goodwill gesture from Mr. Levy, 30 quid, half the price.
It's been a difficult year. Yeah, 30 quid ticket. Yeah,
it's just showing.
What's the gate? What was the maximum attendance allowed?
10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
This is Daniel Levy's eyes lighting up, going, I can get 60 quid from 10,000 people as a minimum. And he's thinking there's a few quid coming through the door, plus a spend on food and drink and programs and merchandise, etc. And I don't know, after what's happened in the last couple of weeks of ESL, I think it's a piss take from him myself.
Yeah, we're already a laughing stock. This is the trouble. Everyone hates us because of it, and they're laughing at us now again. It's Levy doesn't care.
His PR department must be fucking awful.
Well, Donna Cullen. I mean, she's absolutely awful, is she?
Somebody resigned from the board earlier. I saw a headline. I wasn't sure who it was. Do you want me to have a quick?
Ron Robson.
I think they just made him up, haven't they? Because
he's one of Lewis's boys.
Yeah, because the trust said that we want someone off the board to go. They just made up Ron Robson, haven't they? Yeah, Big Ron's the fool guy.
He's one of Levy's. He's one of Lewis's boys from. He's the managing director of Mitchell and something who do a lot of pubs. I bet you'll find out he's 81 or
Mitchell and Butler,
and he was going to retire anyway.
Yeah. No, he's 58. I think he said that it was being a director, non-executive director at Tottenham, is getting in the way of him doing other things. So probably
I think we might have to give you we have to give you a quiz next week on Ron Robson. You seem to be fucking an expert on him. You know what he does. You know what he does. His age, his career. What else? Do you know his shoe size? Does he dress on the right or the left?
That'd be telling.
Jesus, you should have to get a T-shirt. The Ron Robson fan club. Jesus Christ, Jens.
I just read an article about it an hour ago.
Oh, you're a Ron Robson fanboy.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got a hat somewhere.
That leads us nicely to our next question, actually. And I'll go to you. I presume you've had enough of Levy, Jens. I'll come to you first on this one. What was your tipping point with Enoch and Levy?
I have to say I was pretty much... I've always been pretty much in their corner. I thought a lot of people were harping back to the good old days of Scholar and Sugar, who, Scholar almost sent us bust, and Sugar obviously got us on a level keel again, but he's a point. He didn't know what he was doing.
You're fired, Ron Robson.
Get out of my pub. No, but he. So they built the new stadium, and thought that was good. But this the ESL thing, and Mourinho. I was quite excited by Mourinho at first. Everybody told me, man, he's going to split the team. He's going to throw his toys out the pram like he's done this before. Yeah, exactly. And I thought, well, no, he said he's changed, so give him a chance. I'm always willing to give people a chance. And yeah, that just went to down to Swanee. And then with this ESL thing, he hasn't come out and said anything. This, the 60 quid. And I've got another story which just shows how brilliant Tottenham are. Might take a few minutes. I ordered my little one some stuff from Spurs for her 5th birthday, which was in March. So I ordered it beginning of February because my sister-in-laws are trying to push her towards Ajax, and that ain't happening under my watch. So I typed all the details in, but it put in my old address in the Netherlands. So I noticed the mistake, and I contacted them straight away, and they said, okay, send us the new address. Lovely jubbly. So I got confirmation that was all good, and they were sending it. Now, we were away on holiday for my birthday, or away for a couple of days on the 26th of February, and they decided to deliver it then. They usually leave it with the neighbours, but they didn't this time, and they left a note saying I needed to pay 30 quid customs duty. And I was like, what? So I got back, contacted PostNL, and they said, yeah, it's come from China. And I said, what? Yeah, so you need to pay 30 quid. I said, I'm not paying 30 quid. Contacted Tottenham. I said, they say it's come from China, etc., etc. I get this generic email back saying you need to go and pick it up from the post office. We cannot guarantee that there are no customs charges on it. Contacted them back. I said, yeah, but it says it's from China. Can you confirm if it was sent from China? Again, generic email. I didn't pick it up. It got sent back. So they say, you've got to contact us after a certain date. I contacted them after a certain date. They say, can you please confirm your address? Confirm the address. Gets delivered today to the old address. I mean, yeah, I know mistakes happen, but yeah, I think he just tries to do everything as a deal, tries to get cheap as possible, and so he can make himself and the investors millions.
He shocks down the reduced aisle, doesn't he? Late at night when everything's just about to go out of date, he likes to go down. Yeah. He does it.
But I do.
Yeah.
I blame myself, to be honest.
Daniel reduced aisle Levy.
When we were 15, me and 3 of my mates went up to London, went into Mr. Buy Right and bought a check shirt each. So I was funding Daniel Levy's businesses.
It's your fault.
It is, yeah. And I forgive me.
Kev,
where are you on Enoch and Levy? Are you pro or anti, or what's your?
I knew this was going to come up in the conversation this evening, as of pre-warned, with the header. I knew it was going to be discussed. And I think I looked, and there's 8 or 9. No, I forgot my notes now, as I said, and I think 8 or 9 managers in 20 years. What does that tell you? And that's without the caretaker managers and the interim manager. It's frightening. It's not a continuity thing, you know. Posh, I mean, maybe he did it run his time, yeah, but I don't know. We always seem to be pound shop. We think we're one of the richest clubs in the world, but we don't play like it. You know, it's always, we're trying to run it on a shoestring all the time, and we can't spend it. Yes, the story was the stadium. I understand that, but the amount of money that's behind Enoch with Lewis, there should have been some money there somewhere to to push us that little bit further, like Liverpool did. That turning point. We were beating Liverpool regularly in the mid teens of this century, and we had the kibosh on them. We could beat them, not away, but we'd always beat them at home, which was a good point. We finished above
one at Wembley.
Yeah, and now it's turned around again to complete and utter folding against them because we haven't got the staff, and they've done well. They had the FSG, is it, that runs their club, the American lot, and they've done ever so well with financial support, and there's expenditure, the net spend, as they say, and all that. It's like us, we talk about minimum spend, but I want to see some money and I want to see some trophies, and they haven't delivered, and that's what it's not only the tipping point. I think it's at the point. I think when we lost that final, it crucified me. I didn't speak for nearly 2 weeks when we lost that the Champions League final. Nearly 2 weeks. I couldn't speak. My wife couldn't understand it. She said, "You got to snap yourself out." I said, "I can't." I said, "I'm sorry." I said, "It's the greatest day of my life." And it went after 26 seconds, and it was gone with that handball. And I just said, "It's only a game." I said, "It's not a game. It's my life." I said, it is my life. It's been my life, for 60 odd years. 55 years just to set foot inside White Hart Lane, and to have that snatched away from me. I can understand it. I've said to you, I've been at games with this 87 final and other games. We lost the Milk Cup final when we lost. I'm used to losing. I can take losing, but the way we lost that, and then not to push on again and go backwards, I think, and people laughing. I think people laughing at us, that hurts me more now. And they say we're bottlers and all this, and I'm thinking, I'm starting to believe it myself, and losing the faith. But I'll never lose the faith. But it's just hard. It's hard, and my wife can't understand that. She really can't.
There's so many knocks you can take, isn't there?
Yeah. You get kicked. So one particular point, I don't know. It's a gradual getting lower and lower, and we need, I didn't mind losing against City the other week. I half expected it, or more than half expected it. So I wasn't disappointed.
No.
I was all right the next day. I didn't kick the cat or anything, but no.
My brother said that on the pod last week. He said he kind of expected it, so we weren't surprised when it happened. The League Cup final. So 9 times out of 10 we lose to him, don't we? So unfortunately,
well, we see PSG getting beat soundly last night. So you think, well, that ain't so sad. It's just multi-million players, and we and Shiny lose 1-0. It's not too sad. Still lose, but then to see other teams creeping up behind us like Arsenal and doing better than us and winning these games and sneaking the games, that's when it's like we can't even win one little cup.
No.
One League Cup and one FA Cup and 2 League Cups in 30 years. It's kind of meh.
Yeah.
Gareth, what was your tipping point moment with ENIC? I know from our conversations on the drives up to and from White Hart Lane, you've long been alongside myself as a ENIC hater. Can you remember a specific point where they lost your trust and you thought this lot are fucking really useless?
Point, but it's been a gradual thing with me, but the 2016 year when we went unbeaten the last season at White Hart Lane and not back in Pochettino, and he said we need to. It's been a gradual thing because you can go. I don't know how far you want to go back. We had that season where we were flying underneath Harry Redknapp, and we were going for Tevez and I can't remember the other player, but we ended up getting Louis Saha and Ryan Nelson. Both players like mid-30s, were going to add nothing to us for our second half of the season. We petered out, and it's shit like that. It fucking drives you up the wall because it's like I said 5 minutes ago. Daniel Levy shops. He walks into Tesco's. He goes past all the Tesco's finest, and he walks up the reduced aisle and goes, "Oh, look, there's a couple of bargains there. That'll do me. That'll satisfy me for my dinner." He's got a choice of a £10 meal deal, or he can just knock something up for a couple of quid that's just been
12p going out of date.
Yeah, and it's gradual stuff like that. Ruben, we saw PSG versus Man City over the 2 legs, and Wade Diaz has been playing. We had the chance of picking him up for £35-40 million. Ish. And he was keen to leave. Benfica were keen to sell him, and he's potentially being touted as better than Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk cost £75 million. We could have picked him up for 40 mil.
Yeah.
And look at him now. Look at him fly.
Bruno Fernandes as well. It's like penny
Bruno
pinching, isn't it?
Fernandes.
Yeah.
But we went for a slightly cheaper option than Chelsea. And you know what? Chelsea started off pretty decent. But you look at the stats of Bruno Fernandes now. He's almost comparable in terms of goals and assists. He's not that far off Harry Kane. And Harry Kane's a forward. Bruno Fernandes is a midfielder.
Yeah.
As Kev said, we don't act like a big club. That's the problem with him, isn't it? He's kind of...
Yeah, with people over £3 or £4 million here and there. One thing I will give credit for Daniel Levy, and it's probably the only thing I can do, is when a big player wants to leave, he will get big money as he can possibly squeeze out of that deal, i.e. Berbatov to Man United, Modric. Ish to Real Madrid, Bale to Real Madrid, probably Michael Carrick, and he does it and he leaves it as long as he possibly can. He'll drag it out and get the most he can squeeze out of that pot from that buying club.
It's a deliberate tactic. My ex-missus, her company, they used to do training on, and it was called brinkmanship negotiation. So you do leave it to the last minute. If you know you've got a product, a player that someone else wants, keep saying no, and you know they're going to come back if they really want them in the last minute. So he's addicted to these brinkmanship deals, isn't he? Like buying and selling at the last minute, and that's
fair play for selling players.
Yeah.
Fine, great.
Yeah.
Do it. I mean, for example,
if we don't have anyone to replace them,
then fine, get as much as you can. Like people are saying, Harry Kane, the £200 million player, you won't get that in this current climate because of the pandemic, etc. But if he does go, he will leave it to the last minute and he'll squeeze as much as he can out of it. But on the flip side, it's always, like I said, going straight past the Tesco's finest, straight up the reduced.
Well, that's, as you know, that's what used to piss me off majorly about Levy. The beginning of each season, because the August transfer window used to shut at the end of August, didn't it? We'd have 4 games before the transfer window shut, and he used to piss around trying to muck around with clubs, didn't he, for the sake of a million here or there, bomb off the first 12 points of the season, and then we'd lose out on Champions League by 1 or 2 points, wouldn't we? And I'll be like, you've just fucked off 12 points at the beginning of the season by trying to save $1 million, so you've lost 25 million for the sake of saving $1 million. Yeah, nice one, master businessman that you are.
I mean, it depends who you listen to and how close you were, but apparently we were looking at him 6 weeks before the window was going to shut.
Get the image rights stuff sorted then.
Image rights thing pinged up, and they went, I'm not too sure, and all of a sudden, just right at the last minute, they go, oh, we'll have a little look at that again. But you always knew that image rights thing was there, and it's like he's trying to appease the fans by, throw that name in, we're going for him, but we know we're not going to do the deal because we've already looked at it and we can't do it.
Keep him happy.
It's always trying to appease the fans. We're making an attempt. We're all switched on to him now. We know exactly.
I think that's one reason why we haven't been protesting so far, haven't we? Because we're used to kind of, we're like it's like Stockholm syndrome, isn't it? We're used to the abuse. We kind of just take it now as expected. It's like modus operandi, isn't it, with Tottenham and Levy? Just look at some of the things he's done over the years, Gaz. I know you were going to make a list earlier of some of the things that Levy's pissed you off over the years. What have you got on there?
Well, even if you just look back at the 20 years of Enoch, we're currently £700 million in debt. All right, we've got a brand new sparkling shiny stadium, but did we really need that stadium at this point? In terms of our final season, we were unbeaten at home all that season. The team was great. The team were firing. The manager who was asking for extra players. Would that money be? I know by that stage we were already kind of committed, but the only reason why we got a new big stadium is for the American market, for NFL, for money to come in, concerts, boxing matches, all that sort of stuff, all extra revenue from not playing football, from match day revenues, extra stuff that his eyes have lit up. Going back to when the stadium, I don't know if you remember, when the stadium was being delayed, who did he apologise to first about the delays in the stadium? He didn't apologise to us lot, the fans.
Americans, the NFL. Yeah.
Apologise to them first. So you can see exactly where it's going. It's all about as much money as you can squeeze out of that new stadium. Right, fair enough, it's beautiful stadiums. best stadium I've ever been to, and I've been to a few. Not every stadium in the world, and it's great, and everyone comments on it, and everyone says, "Oh, it's such a great stadium." But and exactly as I go back to Poch again, you got a nice new house. You need to buy nice new furniture as well to complement what you've got from your old house. Put it in there and add to it. In the 20 years, one League Cup, how many times have we failed in the semi-final, even to a final?
Yeah.
Training ground was supposed to encourage more youth team players. Well, we haven't had that many. When Poch first started out, in the first few years of Poch's, keep going back to Poch, but it's not a love in with Pochettino, but we haven't had that many youth players come through. I know we've just signed up a few on professional contracts now, like Dane Scarlett, etc. They've all just signed professional contracts, but the training ground for me is something that could potentially attract big transfers because they will be impressed by what they've got. It's one of them things that players want to be spending a lot of their time, because that's what they do. They train a lot before match days, etc. They want to have those great facilities. Again, going back to the stadium, why have we got naming rights on the stadium? What's the issue with that?
Yeah.
Can you imagine any other club in the world built a brand new stadium and they still haven't got a sponsor for it?
No. It's
again Tim put on it, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. And you see it sometimes on Twitter, people turn around and go, so why are they still calling it the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Why? And you even hear it on Talk Sport. They say, what's it called? The White Lane Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It should be, if you're going to offer up the ground as, right, you can come and put your name on this ground and give us whatever money, X, Y, Z amount of money. Why has it not happened yet? Right.
Haggling.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Because money. Is he waiting for the biggest deal you can? It's him squeezing as much out of that sponge as possible. Squeeze as much water out of that sponge as he can get. I don't know. I don't get the impression he's got a plan either after sacking Mourinho.
As we said last week, Harry Redknapp seems to think he's got a done deal already. He's waiting to announce it because he's already in a job. But could that be just to buy time to shut us up before the season ticket renewals?
Exactly.
Why would Harry Redknapp say that, though?
They finished, a week after the end of the season?
Inside sources.
No, okay.
Yeah, not good, is it?
Red or brown?
You can even go back to the Stratford debacle as well, the Olympic Stadium. The geezer never ceases to amaze us, I don't think.
No, as I say, it's like Stockholm syndrome. We're just used to it now, and we put up with it.
I don't like saying the geezer's name anymore.
No, Voldemort or yeah.
Dr. Evil.
No, it's a bit harsher than that. In our group, we're not allowed to call him Levy anymore. In our group, it's bald. See you next Tuesday.
I thought that was my nickname.
I've banned it.
Well, yeah. I think Showbiz got a bit worried when Gazza first started using it. But
right. I've got one other little thing.
Go on.
And sorry, LJ, just quickly. This came up right at the very start of this show, and it was about Levy potentially pushing players into the shop window. So saying, I don't know if you guys found the same thing with watching the Amazon documentary, but did you not find it creepy that Daniel Levy was constantly at the training ground chatting with Mourinho and kind of hinting as if he was kind of pushing his starting 11?
Yeah, in the dinner
really?
room as well, isn't it? You haven't?
No.
It was a bit like a football manager. He was like, I'm the real manager here, That's what I got to think, He was like living his life, his boyhood ambition, to run the football club.
Yeah.
It brings me on to mind
what you said, LJ, earlier on, that at the moment, obviously, he's coming towards the end of the season. So is he pushing Winks in to start him because he wants to put him in the shop window, etc., to get big buck for his players? I found it I mean, the Amazon documentary is not going to show you absolutely everything, but it was quite interesting to see it, and I found that very creepy. That Levy was pretty much always hanging around, and
Yeah, I was thinking about this yesterday because obviously, as part of today's show, I'll bring up the next question now. We're going to talk about Danny Rose, and for such a big name manager like Jose Mourinho, obviously, when he was first coming in, like you said, Gaz, he's going to have assurances about what he's got to spend and whatnot. But it smacked of Daniel Levy saying to Jose, and it's taking a little bit of power away from Jose, do not pick Danny Rose, didn't it? He's pissed me off. He's come out in the media. He's called me Tim Pot for not paying wages and signing people that we have to Google. You can't pick that player. That's interfering, isn't it? Straight away with Jose. Jose is a fair man, isn't it? I think we'd agree. So he'd obviously like a blank canvas for everyone in the squad. And that just smacked in that Amazon documentary. Jose obviously couldn't say on camera, sorry, pal, I can't pick you because Daniel Levy, you've pissed him off. So cheerio, you're going to have to rot in the reserves. Straight away, Levy's interfering with Jose, isn't he? Straight away, early in his appointment.
Yeah.
I raised this to someone the other day about Danny Rose. I'm not sure if it's us fans which owe him an apology. It's probably Levy for costing him a couple of years of his career, isn't it, really? I mean, all he did was really speak the truth. I mean, this part of this show today, I was looking up what Danny Rose had actually said, and I can bring up a couple of his quotes here, and there's nothing actually that bad about the quotes he actually said. Just because he'd put Daniel Levy's nose out of joint by telling a few home truths. That's all it was, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically, exactly what you just said.
I mean, most of it was about...
He's come across as, obviously, he's not happy about being dropped, and he's trying to find out the reasons why he's not playing. And saying, well, judging by what other people are doing in training at the same sort of time as him, what are they doing to get themselves into the side?
Absolutely.
Squad, and it's...
Yeah, that was true as well, wasn't it? He just kept picking Aurier, kept picking Dyer, he kept picking Sanchez, despite they kept making mistakes. And he expected Danny Rose to come in after not playing for 6 weeks and to have a stormer. He got thrown in against Liverpool, was it Liverpool or Man City? Yeah. Straight in, and then he didn't have his best game, and he was bombed off again, wasn't he? So here's some of the comments he said. I've heard a couple of people at the club saying we don't need a top signing or signings. This is when Levy didn't buy anyone for 18 months. But I'm sorry, I'm not singing off of that hymn sheet on that one. That was about Spurs in action in the transfer window. Just said exactly what we were all thinking, wasn't it? Not buying anyone. This is when he was on England duty. The discussion with Danny Rose had turned towards Jose Mourinho and how it felt to have a manager with a winning mentality and control of Tottenham. Who said he's in control of the club? Rose shot back. And a little pop at Levy. Last summer, Rose was disciplined by Spurs after saying the players were underpaid and the club needed to bring in big-name signings to compete and not ones you have to Google, who you've never heard of. There have been strains since then. Things were said and things happened behind the scenes at my club, and I don't want to go into any detail because I'll just end up being fined again, he said. Anything wrong in those three things, what he said?
No.
Not really.
How it is.
The guy told the truth, and maybe he was painted in a bad light in the documentary as a result of that. I mean, everyone was laughing at him for the comments about, have Inter Milan been in touch? Jens, you haven't seen this one either, but they had a big scene in it when the voiceover was sort of saying Daniel Levy's had approaches from Sunderland and Burnley. And then it cuts to Danny Rose saying, have you heard anything from Inter Milan? Basically trying to belittle him and make him look like a mug. Because he was sort of holding out for a move to a big club, and then the voiceover giving it large about Sunderland and Burnley, the only clubs that have come in for him and stuff. So it was all a bit of an agenda to make Danny Rose a bit of a revenge job, I think.
Yeah.
Did you
want to move back north?
Yeah, northern Italy. Kev, did you ever have a problem with what Danny Rose had said?
I think you're speaking from the heart. I think he's seen the likes of Walker making his dream move and doubling, tripling his money. No, I'm not saying he was after that much, but I think he was probably on the right track. And the Amazon documentary, All or Nothing, definitely was slanted to portray Levy's feelings, without a doubt. It's not. It's going to be censored and cut, and it's propaganda basically. It's what Levy wants the public to hear. It's not going to get past Levy.
What he wants you to see.
Did you see the clip of Danny Rose and Mourinho Jens on social media at all when they had an argument after the Liverpool game? No, that was all cut to make him look.
Argument, really.
Nah, just Danny Rose, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been at the club 12 years now, and I think there was talk on another podcast the other day about Ben Davies getting a testimonial. I mean, I think the fans still love Danny Rose, don't they? I mean, he's not going to get a testimonial out of Daniel Levy, is he? But he's been there 12 years now. We'll have to organise our own one down at Barnet, Jens. The Danny Rose testimonial.
At the Hive.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess Daniel Levy's won, hasn't he? Because he's made Danny Rose sit in the reserves for 2 years, not playing. I mean, he had the little loan move to Newcastle, didn't he? But
he's injured, isn't he, at the moment?
Well, he hasn't got. He hasn't got a squad number yet. And so there was a lot of talk of him coming. That he hasn't been registered with the Premier League, and I think the cut-off point's gone, so he can't play. Yeah. But Ryan, it'd be interesting to see if Ryan Mason would have put him in. We don't really need him with Reggie, do we? So I don't think he would have done. So yeah, I don't know who's going to apologise to him because the fans never really turned on him, did they? Really? Big up to Danny Rose. No. Next question. Regardless of Levy's part in the current state of the club, how much did Jose's own actions contribute to his downfall? We'll go to Gaza there.
I think a lot of it is causing issues with certain players. If the rumours are true about Alderweireld, as I said earlier on, begging him to play when his kid was due to be born and then dropping him a few games after that because it suited him. For me, Daniel Levy's, that was his last chance of saving himself for the Tottenham fans. And it's failed, massively failed. We had a little spell right at the very start of the season where we looked like we were playing a bit of decent football, scoring a few goals. But yeah, for me, the Mourinho project wasn't the best when it first started. For me personally, then a couple of people convinced me, well, you never know, it might be taking us to the next level. And I think I said to you, John, this is Levy's last chance for me.
Piss or get off the pot, wasn't it?
Yeah. If this fails, see you later, pal. To Levy, not Mourinho. Well, both of them. So yeah.
Mourinho's football to me was retrograde stuff. It was horrible to watch. It was soul destroying.
Yeah.
To see us going ahead every week and every week getting clawed back and getting beaten.
The thing with us, we know our defence is not really going to keep a clean sheet, so we've got a fairly decent forward line, or forward six if you include the three midfield, three forwards. Go out and try and outscore the opposition. Go and score 3 or 4 goals. Don't score one and then try and sit back and defend it because you know you're going to concede. We do it every week, especially if you're chopping and changing your four defenders most of the time as well.
I was thinking the other day that there's a psychological thing called gaslighting, isn't there, in relationships where it's a sort of a subtle form of bullying. I've just brought up the definition of gaslighting and it fits Mourinho perfectly if you ask me. Look, you ready for this? Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which a person or a group covertly sows seeds of doubt in a targeted individual or group, making them question their own memories, perceptions, or judgments. Daniel, it's fucking Jose Mourinho down to a T, isn't it? Everything he come out of in his press conference, it's not my fault, Gov. It's their fault. It's their fault. It's not me. Same manager, different players.
Different players, yeah.
Yeah.
You can predict what he's going to say before he actually said it every week. It was
Yeah. It's always someone else's fault.
Got a few comments here, boys. Thanks for commenting the watches tonight. So, Yid Kid saying Danny Rose come back, definitely. Julie Shelton, one of our mates from Amersham as well, White Lion regular, loving this, lads. And Adam's got a question for the panel, just a quick comment before we move in. Do you think Mason will give game time to any of the youngsters in the last few games, given his connection with the academy?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think he's going to want to go and get as many points as possible and see how close we can get to Europe.
Took the words out of my mouth. Yeah,
I think we need to do that.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, it'd be lovely
to the youngsters, and also like Dane Starlett's only just come back from injury, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
he's back in training now.
I think he's going to be the strongest 11 where he
Scored
can.
a lovely goal against Norwich the other day.
He did.
Yeah,
he did.
Right, let's have a couple of last questions then, guys, because I know you guys have all got families and bed to go to. And it's the time difference out there in Holland, Jens, is a bit later, isn't it, than here? So a nice yes and no answer. We're coming around the panel. So first of all, Gaza, is Steve Hitchin a competition winner on a crisp packet? He forgot to go home.
Yes, he is.
Jens?
I wouldn't even say crisp packet. I'd say a box of matches.
Kev?
what's it?
What's it? Yeah. Get the old twiglets and the dingle fingers out. Inject there. Right, last couple of questions then. I think we all appreciate that our squad isn't good enough to move forward, is it? And the new manager's going to have a bit of a job. He's going to have a little recce, have a look at it and decide who he wants to keep, who he needs to get in, which areas he needs to focus on. So with that in mind, with the painful rebuild in mind, which Poch spoke about, which Gaz referenced earlier, if we could only sell 6 players this summer, who are the first 6 up against the wall? So we'll start with you first there, Kev. Which 6 players are you first bombing off, getting them out the door, quick, sharp?
God. I've got a love-hate relationship with Aurier. I'd like to see him go. Sorry, I don't know what. Yeah,
Definitely.
I know, harsh. Yeah, because he does a good thing. He was everyone's hero the other night, but he's let us down too many times. Doherty hasn't made it. He can go. Yeah, I've stuck up with him for a long time, especially with the Irish connection. But
you'll have to play right back, Kev. You get rid of those 2. Yeah, stick him over there. Yeah.
Dele Alli, sell him, get whatever you can for him, unless he can get his mind right for it. I don't think you can. You've got to keep Harry Kane and Son. Bale, I'd like to see him. I saw someone saying it would cost 12.6 million to rehire him for another season. I think that's a bargain. You couldn't get another player for that kind of money.
No.
To go, older we already got to keep.
There's a couple of guys that play alongside him, if I can.
I don't know.
One
There's
begins
so many.
with S and the other begins with W.
Yeah, well, he's already gone in my mind. Yeah. Sanchez, go. Sissoko, go.
One more.
Nah. One more quickly. Help, I don't know. I'm not that confident about Lloris, to be honest with you. If we could get a good replacement, a young English fella, Pope, is it? Yeah. Lloris, I don't know.
Johnston,
I think he's been tapped up already. I think he's got that 1,000-yard stare, to be honest with you. I think he's ready to go. I think he's had enough. And I don't think him being captain is helping him too much either.
No, he'll get PSG, won't he, with Poch?
Yeah, PSG, I think.
Yeah.
He's done his time. He's made his money. He's got young kids. He wants to probably get back to France, I just think. So is that 6 for you?
There's your 6, yeah. Gaza, your 6, please.
Mine's pretty similar. So I'd say, both right backs, Aurier, Doherty. I'm a little bit 50-50 in this. Probably Eric Dyer. Sanchez. Who are the others? They've just dropped out of my head.
Got a big selection to choose from.
I've got quite a big selection to choose from. Stephen Bergwijn. Although I saw a little cheeky training video of him today, he looked like he's a little bit of a changed man, a little bit more up for it. But
that's Daniel Levy again, trying to boost his value and just put that out on the old Twitter.
So, maybe Stevie Bergwijn.
I think there's bigger problems than him.
Just trying to think of those problems.
You put me on the spot there, actually. Something so out of the blue, I just couldn't get it together there.
Caught me out as well. And even while you were talking, Kev,
I'm still thinking.
Jens is laughing. He's got a thinking time, hasn't he? So, Gazzy, you've only got rid of Doherty, Aurier, and who else did you get rid of? I can't even think of the third one. Dyer.
Sissoko, Sanchez.
I've got 6.
Is that?
I'll tell you what. Give LJ, give Jens a bit more time to think. LJ, who are your 6?
Aurier,
Just throw the question back at the question
Sanchez, Dyer. I'd sell Dele Alli as well because he's got value, hasn't he? I can't see him playing anymore. I'd get rid of Sissoko, to be honest. And I tend to think, Ben Davies, all day long. Ben Davies. There you go. There's your 6, yeah. Gentle Ben. Jens, Højgaard.
Would you get Ryan Sessegnon then from Hoffenheim?
I don't rate him at all. Every time I've seen him play, I don't see a player there.
So we need to get another
we do, yeah. Jens, who's your 6?
Yeah. And a couple of right backs.
Aurier, Doherty, Winks, Sissoko, Mora, and Dyer.
Why didn't I say Lamella? I forgot about Lamella.
I'd keep Lamella.
I'd love to keep Lamella.
Yeah.
I like his.
Kev's obviously an anti-Lamella.
No, I'm not an anti him, but I just don't know. I don't know. He's an impact player. It's a shithouser.
Yeah. That's why I like him.
He's a shithouse.
So we pretty much agree on all of those ones. So let's hope we can get them out the door. Next question. Would you take finishing 4th with no trophies for the next 10 years if it meant keeping Harry Kane for the rest of his career and him smashing Jimmy Greaves and Alan Shearer's records? Gaza.
I want trophies.
Who's first? Yeah.
I want trophies. I know we won't get that because potentially you win a trophy, you're not going to get a huge amount of money unless you win the Champions League, I suppose. But winning the FA Cup, League Cup, you're going to win. You ain't the pocket money that comes in. I call it pocket money because that's all you get from those cups compared to the Premier League, Champions League. Yeah, but we always been a cup team. But I know for a fact that if you finish top 4, it's more beneficial financially. So, but I want trophies and top 4. I want both, and Harry Kane. I want all 3.
Perfect hat trick. Jens, same question.
I agree with Gaza, but if it's one or the other, then I'll go finishing 4th. Because I think Harry Kane's a legend, and I'd love him to go down in the record books as the best striker in Premier League history and also in Tottenham's history.
Same question, Kev. Go on.
Sorry, can I just quickly interrupt? Harry Kane has actually come out and said that the individual records mean probably they are nice and they're great to have, but he said winning team trophies is more important.
Yeah, that's good to put pressure on Levy, though, isn't it? To be fair,
he's a little bit worried.
So he's off then.
Potentially, yeah.
Kev, same question. Would you take finishing 4th with no trophies for the next 10 years if it meant keeping Harry Kane for the rest of his career and smashing Jimmy Greaves and Alan Shearer's records?
I want trophies now, as soon as possible. I'm 65. 10 years is too far ahead for me to be thinking about. When you're 65, I'm sorry, but I want to see something in the next 3 or 4 years. I don't really wait until I'm 75. I want to enjoy it now. Please. I've got too many of my friends lost along the way and I want to see some trophies.
My brother said that at 28, though, Kev. He said, I didn't think I was ever going to see Tottenham win any trophies, and he's only 28. Yeah. So when we were getting near under Poch, he was loving it.
Well, my oldest son's 41. I made him a Spurs fan by taking him down here in the 1980s, like you guys. Yeah, and I think, why did I do that? Because he goes mad when Spurs lose. And I think, I caused that.
I do feel guilty sometimes when I see my brother and my nephews in a bit of pain for supporting Tottenham. So I've inflicted that on them.
Yeah.
We're never going to get accused of being glory hunters, are we?
No.
No.
Next question. The great season ticket renewal dilemma. We had this conversation on our WhatsApp group earlier. What's everyone's current thinking about renewing, and what are your pros and cons about your decision? Jens, we don't know your thoughts on that because you're not in the WhatsApp group. So
I asked the wife. She said I'm allowed, so I'm renewing.
Result.
There she is. Was that a yes or no? I don't speak Dutch.
She said, "Hell yeah."
Hell yeah. She wants to get rid of you for the odd weekend. That's what it is, isn't it?
And she wants to be able to come over and see her mates in London. So, we kill two birds with one stone.
I'm presuming, as you're in Ireland, Kev, you haven't got a season ticket anymore.
No, I had a season ticket in the 80s.
Yeah.
I haven't been to I haven't been to the new stadium at all. I haven't been to a Spurs live match since 2016. Where I moved over here in November 2016, so I haven't been back to the UK since. With the COVID and everything, it won't be this year. Maybe next year. I've got contacts where I can probably get a ticket for a game.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that's what you need, isn't it? Membership.
Yeah. I've got someone who's got spare ones, so that's about the only way I'm going to get back. And I live every game. I see every game, like I always have done. So to me, that's much. My eldest son goes. He's got a season ticket, but he's same.
Gazza, what's your thoughts on it after we discussed it earlier? Have you had any further thoughts throughout the day? Where are you?
Really, originally, I said my head says no, my heart says yes, because I can't not do it. And you've always got the ticket exchange scheme to fall back on if needed. But you summed it up perfectly, LJ. Like you said, that Enoch won't always be there, and we always will. And you can't.
Yeah.
The way, especially the way things are these days with waiting lists and all that, you can't just give it up.
No.
And you always got that pull back to the stadium. I jokingly said, well, I didn't say jokingly, I was actually quite genuinely pissed off about the Aston Villa game, but part of me says, yeah, go up, try and, finish work early doors and go up and watch the game because you haven't seen them play for over 12 months. But it's the Daniel Levy thing. My thoughts are at the moment, renew your season ticket and then just find somewhere else to go. So don't go to the stadium and start spending money on beer and food before the game. Turn up last minute, go in, watch the game, leave straight after the game instead of hanging around for the 2 hours and drinking a load of beer afterwards, and find that pub again and buy the merchandise until Mr. Levy changes his ways or pisses off. It is a dilemma, but at the end of the day, we're all going to renew our season tickets. We can't not. But
I guess he knows that as well, doesn't he?
The whole current state really winds me up at the moment.
Yeah.
But we're legacy fans, aren't we? He doesn't really care about the legacy fans. He's got the American market and the Korean market and stuff. Us legacy fans aren't that important.
That's it. Well, you look at the Spurs shop, half of it's like NFL's merchandise.
That's
So.
it.
You know where his thoughts lie.
Yeah.
Last question then, guys. Leeds United on Saturday. What are your thoughts about that game? Kev, what are you thinking ahead of the Leeds game?
It's difficult. If we turn up, I've got a good idea we'll win. But we're Jekyll and Hyde, aren't we? I'd like to think we'll win on pure goal power. Any
players you'd like to see who haven't been featuring in recent weeks, or anyone you think's going to play that don't deserve to play?
The same. No newcomers. I think the same as what turned out the other night.
Yeah, it'll be similar team. Yeah. Jens, what are your thoughts on the Leeds United game?
Yeah. My head says a draw, but my heart says 17-0 Spurs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping that Mason's got them right up for the last few games, and that he says, look, there is a possibility. Just go out there, win every game. We might get into Europe. So you got nothing to lose. We've already lost the final, so just go for it, fellas. You're playing for your futures, some of you. Go out there and make us proud. Team predictions. I'd like to see Aurier dropped and then put Tanganga in. I'm not sure. I think I'd like to see Moura instead of Ali in the centre, number 10. And Harry Kane, goalkeeper.
He's quite good in goal. He went in goal for that Europa Cup game, didn't he? Part way he spilled one, didn't he, for his legs?
He spilled one, didn't he?
Gazza, what are your thoughts on the Leeds United game? It's a big game in your household, isn't it? Your father-in-law being a Leeds United fan.
Yeah, father-in-law's a Leeds fan, so we could be coming to blows later on in the day. I personally think he will go for the same 11 as he started against Sheffield United. However, I agree with the Lucas Moura and the Tanganga shouts.
Yeah.
I think if anything, he will probably, at a push, drop Dele Alli and bring in Lucas Moura. I don't see Aurier getting dropped.
No, he set up 2 goals, didn't he?
He's probably going to be leaning on, play this starting 11 because I want him in the short window.
So, last thing before we go, score predictions. Then we'll start with Kev up the top there. Score prediction, Kev, for Leeds United.
2-1 to us.
Goal scorers?
I'd like to see Harry and Sonny.
Big G, Gazza down there, bottom right. Who are you thinking?
I think 2-1 to us and Kane twice.
2 for Kane.
Kane's going to have the young from last week because Bale took all his glory.
It's a good story. It's a good headline. Good headline. Big Jens over in Holland. What are you thinking?
2-2.
2-2.
Yeah, Kane with 1 and Sonny with 1.
Should be a good game. They're very open, aren't they, Leeds? Even the game at our place was, I think they played really well, didn't they? We were 3-0 up on them somehow.
I think Son will score, but VAR ruled it out for his nipple being offside.
Yeah, again. Yeah, again. On that note, on Heung-min Son's nipple, I think that leaves it as just approaching 9 o'clock. Before we get to the watershed, we've just beaten the watershed by 1 minute by mentioning Sonny's nipples. That's a good way to end it today. Thanks for watching and commenting, the people that have been watching and commenting, and thank you guys for your time tonight. And come on, you Spurs, and Enoch out. Can I have your best Enoch outs before we leave? Go on, Kev.
Enoch out.
Good one. Gaz.
Enoch out, and that includes you, Mr. Levy.
G-Man, thank you very much. Jens.
Right. Enoch out, guys.
Can Suze do it in Dutch?
Suze, what's Enoch out in Dutch?
What?
What's Enoch out in Dutch?
Enoch out?
Enoch out? Yeah, Enoch. Not that one. Yes, Enoch out.
Scottish.
Out.
Yeah, Enoch out is Scottish. Okay, Enoch out. Yeah. See you all later.
Thanks for having me.
So, thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
So,
Thanks, bye.
On the best, bye.